Good Tuesday evening, Hampton Roads in Northeast North Carolina. My name is David Aldrich. Welcome to First Warning Live, our second edition. And as you can tell from my previous attempt, sometimes audio doesn't work if you don't turn it on. And there are issues that I'm figuring out, but that's the beautiful thing about this. It's not perfect, but that's one of the things. I'm not perfect. I'm still a work in progress. But we can talk about the fact that we have some severe weather coming our way. I wanted to point this out at the top, at the beginning. If you can hear me now, I'd love to hear you and see your comments. I'm on both two Facebook pages. I'm on the WTKR 3 Facebook page as well as my own, which is Aldrich Weather, facebook.com/Aldrich Weather. But you can see with the green areas in parts of North Carolina and also Virginia that covers Roanoke, there is going to be the potential for some isolated severe storms on Wednesday. So it's very important that you're mindful that this probably may not even occur, the severity part of it, until the evening. If with the daytime heating, my suspicion is we'll get the heavier rains in the morning because of the warm front. We're going to get a warm front that comes in, but it's really going to be most likely, it's going to travel right along this track. So you're going to get some storms that might move toward Franklin, work its way toward Elizabeth City, and then exit stage right into the Atlantic Ocean. That's my anticipation. So when we're talking about severe weather tomorrow, just know in a bullet point form that we have damaging wind on the menu, flooding potential might be second. Top of mind would be the winds, then flooding potential, and then possibly even a spin-up tornado. So these are things that we're watching. Kind of curious to know if you are concerned about that. Let me know. I'll do my best to put your voice and your comment on the screen. Would love to get some comments from you. I'm looking at, I see Adam Chase says, now we can hear you. Yeah, thank you, Adam. Alex says, good to hear you as well. Pamela's watching. I'm actually looking on my phone here as I come back on camera. Some of the comments I'm able to see on my page, but not the TKR page. So it's a multitask type of situation, but I always appreciate your patience. Like I said, still a work in progress, so we'll keep it lighthearted. By the way, as I go back to the maps, these winds might be strongest in those areas in green, but again, if the adjustments are made from the Storm Prediction Center, we'll get word from them later on. The big theme tonight, though, I want to also talk about names. Names, not only my name, but someone else's name, like maybe your name. If your name's on there, I see here we miss you here in East Tennessee. This is from TRS Headringer is on there. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for your comment that's coming in. One of the cool things about the names is that hurricane season is just 12 days away. We're just 12 days away from June 1st, and we have a whole series of names. And we have a coworker, Anthony. He and his wife having a child. They were looking at baby names. I'm sure he doesn't want to use Katrina or Helene. You know what I'm saying? So if your name is a name that's a bad hurricane, you become the subject of water cooler talk. And sometimes people are like, oh no, I'm on the list. I do know we have a Jerry, and that's my dad's name. I don't know if he kind of resembles a hurricane. If we get a Hurricane Jerry, he might find that like cool bragging rights. I don't know. But we'll get to the names in a bit. Also, we're going to talk about retired hurricane names, and we're going to talk about name dropping. I'm going to drop some names. You'll love this. This will be fun. I'll save that toward the end. And then lastly, I want to hear from you. Your name on the screen as best I can. I'll do my best. So if you're on social media, we'll put your name as best I can on the screen. By the way, one name I want to also mention, because this is First Warning Live, is Marco's Pizza. Marco's Pizza is giving away free pizza for a year. We're going to be doing that promotion starting on Monday. And if you're hungry now and you don't want to wait till Monday, check out his 5 convenient locations. They're in Virginia Beach, Independence Boulevard, Princess Anne Road, Suite 102, Hampton Boulevard in Norfolk, as well as Kempsville Road in Chesapeake. How cool is that? So think about the opportunity that you could get some pizza, maybe a Pizzoli for lunch. It's kind of like a calzone, very filling, by the way. But the Pepperoni Magnifico is a sample of what you could win, 1 pizza large per month for an entire year. Isn't that cool? All you'll have to do, and it's really simple, is go to our soon-to-be website, WTKR.com/Marcos. That contest page has not yet been activated, but WTKR.com/Marcos starting Monday is when you'll want to be there, and it will be randomly selected. I have no control over who gets the pizza, but we will announce 10 winners for this certificate next week. How cool is that? And suddenly you'll say, hey, it's raining pizza. Maybe that could be where you are down the road. By the way, I want to mention real quickly, we talked about rip currents last night. We talked about rip currents, and one of the things that we were talking about when we talk about hurricanes, Rip currents can sometimes be spawned, oftentimes by tropical features, tropical storms, and hurricanes. I did find this fascinating because the Rip Current Awareness Month, or actually week, for Carolina was April 27th to May 3rd. And taking that into consideration, they have lost nearly 200 people in the coastal Carolinas to rip current swimmers. And it far, far outweighs what you would expect from deaths from a tornado, flood, lightning, wind, or even tropical. I mean, just this illustration alone is sobering. A 25-year period that you could have 8, as they've noted, 8 fatalities a year on average. So it's so important. Go back and watch my video from last night about having to swim out of it by going parallel to the shore, but let it pull you. I know it's counterproductive, but you definitely want to be able to do that and find a way to get safe, get away by swimming parallel to the shore. Back to the maps, because I want to keep this a little more tighter in the sense that we were basically talking about weather and how it affects us in the short term. And we did a lot of introductions yesterday. I won't spend nearly as much time on that tonight. I want to keep this on a time restraint here, but you'll notice it's beginning to show signs of raining around Exmoor right now. Got a couple of clouds gathering across North Carolina, but there are some what might be virga, moisture that's not reaching the ground yet, but the clouds are showing signs of increasing. They've had severe thunderstorms warnings and numerous tornado warnings in Tennessee. I know that back in Knoxville, Knox County, they've had a tornado warning. It looks like they have one back to the west of the valley at this point. But this warm front is going to drive the rain that we get later tonight and into tomorrow morning. And it's also very, very humid. We're going to look at dew points here in a moment, but you'll notice that humidity is funneling up from the Gulf. So you have severe weather that's breaking out east of Memphis, but middle and east Tennessee right now in the square crosshairs of all the activity. I got some notes here. I'm looking at Samantha's watching. Jacqueline Simmons is watching. How do you know that? How do you know? I'm looking at my phone. Because right now, my comments, it seems like I've disabled it in my effort to get the audio. I think audio is more important, don't you? I think so. But at least I can acknowledge that some people are watching. Derek Brown is watching. Hi, Derek. And I see Olga is watching. Tyra Baker. Hello, Tyra. Good to see you here. If you're watching and just watching in real time, just want to wave and acknowledge you because we are trying to make this conversational. And as I get more proficient with my system, because it's a new system for me because I've had to create it all start from scratch. We're kind of learning this on the go. But I want you to be safe. These are the storms that are going to be working toward Hampton Roads. So as I said before, all weather is interconnected. Just because it's in Tennessee today, it's like, I don't live in Tennessee. Well, it's coming this way. And we've already highlighted the areas in green that might have a stronger storm. So it's a 1-2 punch. It's the red line, it's the blue line. We get rain in the morning from the warm front. We'll get some possibly severe weather tomorrow afternoon, if not evening. I think 6 to 9 is going to be a watchable time for severe weather in Hampton Roads. How much rain are we talking about? By 1 o'clock in the morning, we might not even have any rain virtually showing up in the rain gauges. But you'll notice this, by the time we get into tomorrow morning at 9, you may have already had a ½ inch of rain south side and inland Virginia, maybe a 1/4 inch in the peninsulas by that point. And those purple areas would suggest maybe more than 1 to 2 inches of rain may be falling in the Williamsburg area before 11 o'clock tomorrow night. So that's what we're continuing to see. I did this before. I'm hoping to fix this. I'm going to go back to my sponsor for a second, Marco's Pizza. But I want to fix this because the downtown Norfolk is a great image, but when it doesn't match, it's incongruent, and I would rather be congruent. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make that a priority here. So let me go back and see if we can set that in motion. And then we'll get this back on track here. So as far as the weather that we were talking about with Marco's, we're going to hopefully see pizzas raining down because people are going to be enjoying some of the free pizza they're giving away starting next week. That's what we're going to hopefully see. So we go back to the maps. We're talking about the rain that's beginning to approach. A little bit of light rain showing up around Exmoor. It's already beginning to rain in the Roanoke area, and a couple of showers, as you can see, around Charlotte. So keeping in mind what we're seeing in terms of the weather, we've got tornado warnings going on all across middle Tennessee and even into northern Alabama. There's a tornado warning there at the moment. We talked about the rainfall. I'll kind of skip over that. There's the downtown picture. Just had to adjust it. We had a high of only 70. Now, why is that significant? Well, we've had 91 Friday. We were 89 Saturday, and then we had 81 the last 2 days. So this was an 11 degree drop 70 degrees, and a peak gust about 25. It's been nice. It was a pretty decent day, but you would think as you get closer to the unofficial start of summer that you would actually be warming up, and it's the opposite. The opposite is true. We had a 90-degree day on the very first day, of May. Highs today hit 75, however, in Suffolk, 71 in Chesapeake. Our friends in Elizabeth City hit 73 today, and are down in Manio, in around the Outer Banks, they were also in the low 70s briefly. 70 in Virginia Beach. Kind of cool because we had a northeast wind, and look at that. What a difference. When you have a northeast wind, like we do right now, it actually feels a little bit cooler. And so it's only 63 in Virginia Beach, while it's about 9 degrees warmer in Franklin, Husky, as well as Emporia. So we'll get interesting notes as they come in here, and we're also seeing that as it unfolds. Look at the temperatures, mind you. It is 79 in Knoxville, 69 in Richmond. 10-degree difference. I can almost assure you that there's higher dew points where those nasty storms are forming. You need proof. We'll see. Oh, there they are, right? It's super dry in Pittsburgh. It's only 44. Now, dew point, again, think about this, is like the gold standard for how to measure humidity. When it's in the 60s, we start to say it's bad hair day. And certainly with these numbers, super dry, feels like autumn when you've got dew points in the 40s. Huge temperature, we'll call it a dew point temperature gradient, a very different situation in the deep south right now versus what we're dealing with here. We've got a 50-degree dew point, feels comfortable at Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads right now, a little higher in Hatteras, but boy, does it turn sticky. If you're in Myrtle Beach, welcome to the swamp. They've got dew points right now in the low 70s. We're looking at these temperatures right now, and one of the things you'll notice as we continue on this path, the colder air you see in Rapid City. I don't know if you could see that there. One of the wild things that you'll find is that some of that cold air will be moving here. Now, if your eyes happen to draw to Las Vegas, 93, or Phoenix, 96, you might think, oh, well, maybe that heat's coming this way, or San Antonio. You would be wrong. It's actually the cooler air that's in the Dakotas that's going to be working its way here, and so that's what I would suspect that you're going to find when you have opportunities to get into the cooler weather. Let's see if this will load. I'm trying to still get the comments and multitask, but the cooler weather that you see across the upper plain states, that's going to want to try and move this way. Here's a look at the radar. It's 8:03. I want to keep moving. I want to try and be done on time, or at least go 20 minutes or thereabouts. Clearly where you see red are the tornado warnings. Those little icons you could probably see from this image here. And then if you come back, go back over here, you see these little areas in orange we know as the severe thunderstorm warnings. But there's a few, what looks like one pink, or maybe purple, if you like the magenta color. That would be actually a confirmed tornado that's actually placed over northern Alabama at this point. So there is a lot of active weather going on right now across parts of the deep south, and some of that will weaken as it comes here. My suspicion is that once the daytime heating of tomorrow comes in, we'll have our opportunity for one or two spotty severe storms. By the way, have multiple sources for information. May I promote our News 3 First Warning Weather app. It's also great when it's paired with the NOAA Weather Radio, for example, because sometimes tornadoes, what do? They take out power. So if you have a battery-powered NOAA Weather Radio, then you're more likely to have multiple sources. You have a better chance of keeping the information flowing. Because if it is the cell phone towers are compromised, then you're going to lose that information. You're going to be wishing that you had it. And it's a free app. All you have to do is go to WTKR.com/apps. And that, my friend, is a working link. Well, by the way, if you are going to be on the eastern shore tomorrow, whether it be Saxis, Bloxham, or Onancock, they'll be in the low to mid 60s on Wednesday. Cape Charles, beautiful place. I was there this past Saturday. 67 there tomorrow. Exmoor 64. The beautiful Outer Banks are going to be dealing with storms too. 76 Kill Devil Hills, Nags Head 76, Duck, also known for Duck Donuts, 75, Manio 77, and if you move further south, Rodanthe and Hatteras, about 80, 77, Ocracoke, about 80 degrees. So we're going to be watching that closely. We have a lot of beauty in the area. I mentioned Colonial Williamsburg. Downtown Norfolk's seeing an increase in clouds, and it's looking a little cloudier there in Chesapeake Bay at this particular time. So very, very thankful for you, again, watching this time watch, looking for the comments, rather. If there's any new comments that you have, let me know. I got a thumbs up. I got Mel says, hello, David. Come back on camera for a second. Oops, before we get to the hurricane names, I want to get to other items here from you. this is about you. Diane Lady Hawks, give me 2 thumbs up. Got Mel says, hi, David. He's waving. Amber Hatchett says, we need the rain. Great job, David. I appreciate that. Ed Ream says, will we see any tidal flooding along with this rain? I think this is generally going to be moving pretty quickly, so I don't expect it to be anything out of the ordinary, Ed, but great question. Francine says she's watching. Charlene Brown is watching. So if you continue on my makeshift comment section, I'm able to see you at least on my phone. We'll get you on the screen here once I get this final kink worked out. Now, we were talking about names. I got my little notes here. Come back on the camera for a second. The WMO, that's the World Meteorological Organization. If you didn't know there was a thing, the National Hurricane Center is a part of the WMO. And so what they do at the end of the hurricane season, usually in the spring, they'll go back and say, should we retire a name? And you might say, well, what's in a name? Well, if there's significant damage, if there's a loss of life, they usually will change or retire a name so it prevents confusion. If there's confusion, they won't use Katrina again. They will not use Helene again. Typically, they recycle these names every 6 years. It's just something that's done, but they're going to be replacing some of these names, and I wanted to show you what that looks like. If I can do that, I could pop it up over here. What I'm talking about is that they're going to take out Beryl, they're going to take out Helene, and they're taking out Milton. Milton I call the monster because he had winds of 180 miles an hour briefly in the Gulf. And it was certainly, of course, Helene made landfall in the Perry, Florida, Big Bend area. But these 3 retired names will not be reused. They will be dispensed of, and they're going to replace Beryl with Brianna. They're replacing Helene with the name Holly, like Buddy Holly, the old musician from, I guess, the 50s or 60s. And then Milton is going away, and they're going to replace Milton's name with Miguel. So Miguel will replace Milton. So just mentioning some retired names. I didn't know if that is of interest to you, but that's where things are. And we didn't even get to this particular year, but here they are. The National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center. Again, these are all predetermined names. But I'm kind of curious, if you're on the call and your name is Andrea or Barry, maybe you're like Aaron. We have an Aaron here at WTKR. We also have a Gabrielle. And I'm curious if maybe you're Jerry. Like I said, that's my dad's name. Karen, no Karen jokes, but Karen is on here. And then you got Melissa, you got Olga, you got Tanya, and you got Wendy. We also have a Rebecca. We have an executive producer named Rebecca. So these are the names that are predetermined, and they're recycled every 6 years. Just wanted to share them with you so that you would be at least informed that when we get our first name storm, these are the names that they're going to draw from in 2025. Also wanted to ask you, because I said I would have fun with this, I wanted to keep it lighthearted. How many of you know who, let's see, if you know this gentleman? Let's see. This is where you're name dropping, aren't you? Yeah, this is one of the fun things, because by name dropping, I mean it's somebody that I actually know quite well. And this person that I'm talking about is actually the National Hurricane Center Director, Mike Brennan. Now, how would I know Mike? He actually went to NC State with me. Ooh, but he's a lot smarter than me, I assure you. He's laser focused. He's got his PhD. But Mike, when I was a student, super friendly. You couldn't meet a nicer guy than Mike. Mike said, I want to become the director of the National Hurricane Center. And I was like, are you sure about that? Because, you know, there are lots of chief meteorology positions, but there's only one hurricane director. And Mike was like, I know. He was laser focused. And I have a list, went back to see who I've met or run into. Many of you may remember Max Mayfield. He kind of elevated the position, in my opinion, back in the early 2000s, if not before. He was visually on TV. Met Bill Proenza, 2007. He was there a short time. Had an interview when I was actually at a NOAA P Orion Hurricane Hunter aircraft in Cape May, New Jersey. I'm going to put that link in the comments. It's like a 2-minute video, but you'll love it. Bill Reed, who was a hurricane director from 2008 to 2012, much older than me, but he went to my high school, Brandywine High School in Wilmington, Delaware. I met him a couple of times at conferences. And then, of course, Richard Knapp. He was a hurricane director from 2012 to 2017. I also have him featured in my video when he was a forecaster for NOAA. And then Mike's been in the office since 2023. So I think there's only been like 15 directors of the National Hurricane Center. So it gives me street cred, I think, just to say I know that guy. I know that guy. It's kind of fun. But I thought since we're focused on names, we keep it lighthearted. I want to get back to the forecast because I know things are wrapping up here. The forecast, more importantly, for all of us here, is focused on not only the names here, but sometimes the quadrants. It's really the position of these storms. I wanted to kind of illustrate for those who like the science of the quadrants. See, when we talk about these movements, the right front, and I'm thinking of Helene because this is a storm that was a Category 4 when it was in the open water, but once it moved over Georgia, it went from a Cat 2 to just a tropical storm. The damage that western North Carolina sustained was from a tropical storm. It's from the fact that this storm actually had risen quite a bit because of the topography, the rapid rise in what's called orographic effects, basically squeezed out more rain, more moisture from the hurricane. And it was like when you're in a car, driving down a car, you hit a speed bump, and it forces you to rise up and then come back down. When it hit the Great Smoky Mountains, it took out the I-40 around Tennessee, and of course the damage was epic in western North Carolina, where they're still cleaning up in many cases. So I find that interesting, but the right front is where you'll get the worst in the winds, the tornado, surge, and flooding, and it's the left rear where you will typically see winds and flooding, but it's all dependent on really the motion of the storm where you can find the worst of the effects. Just to kind of throw that out there. We'll be talking more about that in the coming days. We talked about the fact that we typically see our hottest days in Norfolk, 15 days. Typically in July, we've had 3 days so far, but we're heading toward cooler weather. 14 and 4, that's the score. From 14 above normal days so far, because today was 70, we've had only 4 days below average there. So I thought we'd kind of wrap things up with some beautiful pictures here. I'm going to get to the 7-day next, but this is from Jamestown Colonial Parkway today. Thank you, Marvin, for sharing that with us with Barnes, Marvin Barnes. Sandy Martin emailed this in to us yesterday for basically the Sunday Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. Beautiful with the sun in the background there. And the sunset last night by a drone from J.L. Bree. Thank you for that, because it was a beautiful shot, kind of like a happy shot that we showed. Now I'm back to my issue with the sunrise sunset, which will be coming up 5:52 tomorrow and 8:11 by then. We talked about the Storm Prediction Center, and oftentimes what we will usually see are these colors. We call them level 1, level 2. Some prefer to use the actual terminology of slight, enhanced, or moderate. The enhanced risk is centered over to Kentucky and Tennessee tonight, and that's why numerous storms are breaking out, and the concern is for damaging winds and even tornadoes. So for the rest of today and into tonight, the big concern clearly is going to be in the Memphis area, down across Nashville. Huntsville's potentially dealing with more tornado breakouts right now. It really changes colors once you get to the Smoky Mountains. Clearly it drops off in color by Roanoke and Raleigh. It's just a level 1. But level 2 for the Tri-Cities and down toward Atlanta, where there's still potentially some nasty weather headed their way. And then lastly, where we started on this live stream, we are in the crosshairs for some severe weather potentially tomorrow. Let me get back to that. And it shows you it's really Franklin, Ahoskie, Edenton, and Elizabeth City that may in fact have some severe weather. Futurecast shows this pretty well. Here's 11 o'clock tonight. Some rain begins to move in from the west. You can see it coming down into Virginia Beach and Williamsburg, coming down I-64. And then once we move into 5 a.m., look at 6 or 7 a.m. I mean, it's going to be coming down in buckets for many areas between 7 and 8 as it fills in across Hampton Roads and moves into the Outer Banks as well. By the time we hit 10 a.m., still some rain showers. Once we hit midday, it looks like it's over. But lo and behold, it's not over. We still have the cold front that's still going to come in, and that brings in some heavier rains right through Franklin and Elizabeth City by 8, 10, 11 o'clock. Once we enter Thursday, things quiet down, and then we're done. It looks like things are actually going to slow down completely by that point. As we make our plans toward the holiday, Memorial Day holiday, we've got some rain coming in, especially on Tuesday. So this will be our next rain maker for sure. And because that front comes in, some of that air that we just looked at in the Dakotas are going to be coming back down here, something we need to watch very closely. As some of you are going, I thought I could wear my bathing suit, but not when the overnight lows are in the 50s, and certainly not very warm in the afternoon. Tomorrow morning, make sure you have the umbrella close by. Looking at some of the temperatures tomorrow morning, should be around 60 in Hampton, 60 in Cape Charles, and 63 in Elizabeth City. 57 in Waverly, about 64 for Hertford, and Moyock, about 60 degrees tomorrow morning. So by the afternoon, we might see a little bit of a break, but they're going to come back, the storms, into the afternoon. Here's your first warning, WTKR News 3 7-day forecast. 81 on Thursday, 74 on Friday, 75 on Saturday. I think Saturday is the best looking day. No question about it. Afternoon showers come in on Sunday. That's where it gets a little more challenging for outdoor activities. And we'll see another pop-up shower or two coming in on Monday as well. But right now, that soggy weather looks like it's really going to come back on Tuesday. So it's almost like bookends. We have an 80% chance of storms tomorrow and rain. We got an 80% chance of wet weather on Tuesday down the road the day after the holiday. So we want to wait and see how that plays out. By the way, if you haven't checked out Marco's, check out their 5 convenient locations. They would love to see you. They've got an excellent Pozzoli, Marcos.com if you're looking for a lunch item, and a magnificent pizza, which is one topping. Check them out. We're going to be giving away 10 Win Pizzas for a Year certificates. So we'd love to have you participate, and the more you do, again, we'll get the system back up and running. We'll get your comments on the screen. But as I come back on here, I'm just going to check and see my phone if I can see if there are any new comments that have come in. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, there's a couple in here. Let me go back to this other page. I'm juggling between the two pages. That's where I think that my system was probably overloaded. Let me go back on there. And I think our comments, I got 21 comments on this page, so this is where I might be able to find a note. Let's see. Patty Lynn Miller says, have really enjoyed you being on Channel 3. Well, thank you, Patty. Appreciate that. Again, wanting to recognize your name, Patty, for I appreciate you watching. Cindy Dove says, great information. Gorgeous pictures, says Diane Ladyhawk. And I see Darcy Soar says she loves the science lessons. Yeah, that northeast quadrant, when it's depending on the motion of the storm, is really where you're going to feel the worst of the effects. And I think many of us who've lived in and along the coast, hopefully we'll know. We'll talk more about it as we get closer. Evacuation routes, when those things occur. I wouldn't bother trying to reach out to Dr. Mike Brennan now because this is his busy time of the year. But those are the types of things I would love to dialogue with you. Are you familiar with your evacuation route? Where would you go if you had to get inland and do it in a hurry? Because sometimes roads can get very trafficky very soon when you have an impending storm. Kim Thompson Jones says, I'm loving the weather like it is today. Some folks love it. Let's see. Ed says, what town do you think you might visit next? I got to go back to North Carolina. And that's kind of why I put North Carolina here. This is Moyock, right? You see the elementary school. If you're not aware, what I like to do is I like to take pictures of the beautiful towns. So if you look here, and I'm looking over this side, yep, I've gone to 7 cities. Now, these are not the 7 cities people think of when they think Hampton Roads and the 7 cities. No, they're not thinking necessarily of Smithfield or Moyock or Poquoson, but those were the cities I thought probably would be a good starting point. My hope is, since I've done 5 in Virginia, based on this list, that it would be helpful to do several in North Carolina. I'm thinking Outer Banks. It's a great question, Ed. I'm thinking maybe a Manio or perhaps even a Rodanthe. I think it'd be fun to go down. I might put a little miles on the car, but to me it's worth it because, I mean, it's the Outer Banks. It's beautiful. And this time of year, you really can't go wrong. So that's a great question. I appreciate that coming in. Other notes that might be also filtering in here. I got... who else is on the call? Denmark says, weather was awesome today. He says, it was awesome today. And I got my sponsor here. So we're going to be giving out pizzas, right? That's one of the things we're going to do next week. We hope that you'll come back for that. What else do I have? Alta Floyd says, good evening, David. And who else do I have here? Oh, weather was awesome. Keep these temperatures coming in. Captain Accurate. I appreciate that. And Cindy Dove says, great information. So I appreciate all of you, your time, your patience with me. As I get better. And just like, don't you have like a full staff? This is kind of what I used to do before I took over this position. Before Patrick Rocky, the beloved and legendary meteorologist, chief meteorologist here, Patrick Rocky, retired. The digital thing was kind of more my thing. But I'm going to get more acquainted with this software, this particular version of it. And we'll get your comments physically on the screen. That's at least my hope, and we'll do it as early as tomorrow. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed the hurricane names. We talked about, hurricane season is 12 days away, and it's always important, as even Dr. Mike Brennan would tell you, always prepare have a plan. And it's the same kind of thing we talk about with tornadoes. Have a safe space already predetermined. And if you're in a rip current, because a lot of our kids, once they're out of the floaties, they might be a master at swimming in the pool, but once they go in the ocean, it's a different game. And we don't want to have their lives compromised by rip currents that are sometimes very hard to detect, even on a sunny day, because it's usually associated with low tide. Well, my name is David Aldrich. This is WTKR, and thank you for watching First Warning Live. I'll do my best to get the software worked out, but I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. And don't forget, we're on at 11 o'clock for our full weather, sports, news, all of that at 11 o'clock tonight. Take care.